problem with them. The problem is the advertisement that is given to the investigation. While you are doing things like this, all your investigation, all your moves, you are publicizing them. It means you are, in another way, giving information to the suspects for them, to escape the wrath of the law. So I think if the police can conceive some of the information in the course of investigation, it will fast track whatever they are doing and try to nail that criminal who is at large currently.
The one thing is that when there's a manhunt, the pictures and personalities of those who are being hunted, who are looked for, there's a bounty on his head.
Yes.
So definitely the manhunt, the search for the criminal will be in the public space.
Yes.
So that he can be traced. But I don't see them revealing any of their intelligence in terms of the tracking model.
Look, when you caught some of the boys to the two Baba, whatever he called himself, right? You advertising them. And you announce that they are giving you information. Now, if I am complicit in a situation and I heard on the radio or TV that you have caught one of my right-hand man, I will try to readjust my movement or look for a better place to hide myself. That is where I am looking at. So there are some things that we need to consider. You catch some persons, you keep it, and the person will continue to aid your investigation until the criminal is caught.
Well, I think otherwise you could be right. Yeah, well, I think otherwise because one thing about manhunts like this is that the publicity that goes with it frightens whoever is hiding to know that the end to his hiding is near, and he could, deliver himself voluntarily. It happens in most times.
Yes.
And police has order. But what you're saying is true. They should keep certain information to their chest.
Yes.
And then pursue the manhunt and get their target. And I think that the police is well trained and they have an investigative capacity and they're applying intelligence to ensure that the right thing is done. One commentary from this story is the issue of criminals using two things. One, fortifying themselves, using charms and mystic means to make themselves invincible. And the second one is use of drugs. These are things that embolden criminality. And if you don't need this aspect of their lifestyle in the bud, it will be difficult to cut down on criminality generally. Because when you use the word cult, some ritualistic elements are also involved. And the issue of communities too, shielding cultists is another element that has to be looked into. Because they know them, they come from families. I had one police officer talking yesterday in the news, that these people come from families.
Yes.
They belong to communities. They see them every day. People are frightened. They live in the bush and they affect productivity. People are no longer living productive life. They no longer go out to work hard because these criminals are, lying in wait in the bushes, in their farms. So something it has to be stopping criminality has to be a collective effort.
I was coming to this.
Yes, so it's not just about the police.
Yes.
It's also about the people. It's also about the chiefs. I don't know whether they have released the chief of.
I don't have that information too. You see, when I started, I used the value system.
Yes.
If you go to the community today, what do you see? The people don't see crime as crime again.
Exactly.
They see crime, most especially where there are resources, to be disposed with. They see it as a means, for the youths to be, very productive in certain way. They look at it as if we are making money. So the love for the money, the celebration for the money is actually abating some of these criminal activities at the local level.
Yes.
So
rather than condemn those values, they
appraise it.
Exactly.
They appraise those value systems. So for me, I think at the community level, the era has come where we would detach ourselves from every form of sentiment that aids criminality.
Yeah. I think it has to do with various values now. Values have decayed. People no longer call evil evil.
Evil.
They see evil as something good. You see somebody who boldly tell you, I'm doing fire.
And we celebrate it.
Yeah, that is in oil theft.
People here will tell you it is our resources. This is how they are aiding it. It's our resources. So the criminal aspect of it is not sin.
It's not sin, yes.
Somebody who is not doing any meaningful job will come with a very expensive car.
Exactly.
The community will celebrate him. The family will celebrate him. The religious houses will celebrate him.
Yes.
So by the time you are doing this, you are actually telling the next person to arise and go, to be involved in such activity.
And you see, for example, what they call Yahoo right now. You see a lot of young men wearing oversized T-shirts, parading the streets, wearing coiled hair and all that, and Yahoo boys. And they celebrate them.
I was in a function sometime in Delta State.
And it's part of this cultism we are talking about.
Where I was seated, the MC rose up and announced something that got me devastated. You know what it is? He said the Yahoo's Boys Mothers Association and the public, were clapping for the celebrating them because they were present to celebrate.
And they had a lot of money to spread.
Because there is money. Imagine.
So there's a total loss of value.
There's a total loss of value in the system.
Yes.
In those days when we were growing up, you dare not come with something that is not yours to the house.
Exactly.
Your parents will question you
and
ask you. Society will shame you.
Yeah.
But these days, society celebrates you rather than shame you.
Yeah. Let's take the next story. It's on Independence Anniversary, and still on the issue of criminality. This is a secessionist group. The indigenous people of Biafra cancels Nigeria's Independence Day celebration through the Southeast region as events spearheaded by its leadership in the past 63 years did not show Southeast was part of Nigeria, and according to them, stressing anyone seen celebrating the Nigerian flag independence in Biafra land will regret his or her life. The group's director of media and publicity, More Powerful, in a statement on Friday said, that it is a story that has continuously reminded us about the fact that there are still dissenting voices. There are still people in the Nigerian polity who are not satisfied about the polity. People who are not happy being Nigerians. But I think that we have gone beyond this level in our society. We got our independence in 1960. And before then, we were of different nations, different ethnic nationalities. What is today Nigeria came together in 1914 through the amalgamation by Lord Lugard. And over then there have been some kind of structural development, constitutional amendments, constitutional developments from 1914 to 21 to 1957, 59 and all that to 1960 Independence Constitution to even the 1963 Republican Constitution. All these processes were used to forge these different strange bedfellows together as a nation. And over time, in the last 63 years, I thought that would have become the nation we wanted to be, right? And we fought a civil war. After the declaration of no victor, no vanquished by General Gowon in 1970, after 1969, yeah. We thought that the war was over. But the war wasn't over because the no victor, no vanquished declaration by Gowon didn't seem to have permeated into the society. It was over in terms of kinetic processes. The Southeast, as it were perceived to have been discriminated against. But one good thing about them is that they've worked very hard. A place that was devastated, that was almost completely destroyed, became so prosperous, enjoyed so much development. In fact, the first time another friend of mine I met in Kaduna told me that the first time he passed through Onitsha, because he was living with a military man in Onitsha during the war. And the first time he passed through Onitsha, he was surprised to see the level of development in the area. And he found out that we usually say that the average Igbo man is claustrophobic. He does not like staying at the place. He moves out and he develops. Anywhere you go in this part of the world and you don't see an Igbo man, then run. They are so prosperous, they have developed so much, and they've added value to the development of virtually every community they find themselves. I think that with this, an average Igbo man who likes the Biafran ideology should have been satisfied. And if you ask me as a Nigerian, Biafra should be an ideology, not a military enterprise, not a kinetic enterprise of agitation. It should be an ideology that talks about liberating the people from the shackles of discrimination. It should be an ideology that talks about integrating the Igbos into the mainstay of Biafra, right? That kind of ideology that allows the Igbo man to participate in the political landscape, they already are there in the economy, and the social aspect of Nigeria. An ideology that integrates them into Nigeria proper, devoid of any form of discrimination, not an ideology of armed struggle. That should be what Biafra should look like. A story coming like this, where they are destroying what Igbos have built over time. We sit at home and now telling them about staying out of the independence. It's not a very good story. I know there are stories here that talk about low-key independence anniversary.
Yes, I think we want to disagree with you to an extent.
Yes.
Why I want to disagree with you is the area you say Biafra should be an ideology. For me, Biafra should be a sponge of the memory of the Igbos.
Okay.
It should be completely destroyed from their thinking and thoughts.
Okay.
Why do I say this? You see, when there is a wrong political socialization among a set of people, the end result will become what we are seeing in the Southeast.
Okay.
Many persons believe that there is a Biafra land.
Yes.
But in the real sense of it, there is no Biafra land.
Yes.
Some people believe that the amalgamation, done by Loluga and the British is a crime, right? And they want that system destroyed and another one, be created. But the mistake they are making, that is why I say wrong political socialization is this. The mistake they are making is this. You are vilifying the Nigeria states. That Nigeria is a creation of Britain, right? And you are holding on to a territory created by the Britain, right? For administrative purposes. The Biafra land they are referring to, which is a product of the defunct Eastern region, was created by British government.
Exactly.
For administrative purpose. So if you are criticizing Nigeria, you are vilifying the country or being a British creation, and you are holding on to another British creation. Are you not deceptive and dishonest to yourself? You are not doing yourself any good. So for me, I think anything that has to do with the Biafra boils down to a criminal way of thinking.
Yeah.
It is criminal because even the pioneer of the Biafra agitation was appointed by the Nigeria government to oversee a part of Nigeria, right? On behalf of the Nigeria states.
Okay.
He was not elected. Okay. But at the end, he proclaimed a part of the territory as a Biafra land. So please.
We have gone beyond that.
So now what I'm trying to say here is this. The claim by the IPOB, barring the celebration of Independence Day in the Southeast is criminal. Yeah. Because Nigeria is an establishment of a constitution.
Exactly.
And the constitution becomes the conscience of the states. Whatever that is done outside the thinking of the constitution is rebellious, right? And we have a constitution that says the 1999 constitution has amended section 1, subsection 1, talked about the supremacy of the law. And subsection 2 then prohibit any person or group of persons from taking over the government or any part of the country, except in accordance with the law. Yeah. So now, when you are proclaiming a part of the Nigeria state as a Biafra land, and you usurping the power of the government, barring the activities of the Nigeria state, you are a rebel, you are a criminal, and such action need to be dealt with decisively in order to deter other persons from indulging in it.
What you're saying is obvious. They have been declared outlaw. They have even declared a rebel group. I mean, the point I'm trying to make when I say Biafra should be an ideology, what they are doing now is counterproductive. What they are doing now is criminal in the context of the Nigerian constitution. They have been declared a terrorist group. they are still hunting them. They are bombing their enclaves and all that. But the most important thing is that they are destroying what their people have developed over time. The prosperity of the East is being destroyed. And the loyalty of the East to the Nigerian government is also being dissipated. The question is, what can we do as a country, as a nation, to stop all these various ethnic and primordial, separatist ideology or separatist movement? How do we clip such separatist movements in the wings? How do we stop it? Because there are many ways. If you look at the merit of some of the agitations, issue of political, socio-economic and political integration into the mainstream of the Nigerian state. That is the major issue. And do we have a country where every part of the country is represented? Look at the agitation in the Niger Delta. I'm coming. Look at the agitation in the Niger Delta. We talked about resource control. Resource control has been a legitimate agitation. It was what gave rise to the kind of militancy uprising in the region that led to amnesty. Amnesty, as it were, doesn't seem to have solved that problem. They have created the Ministry of Niger Delta and all that to assuage the more divided. And the climax of this division, has been the issue of terrorist agitation. Yes.
Why the Nigerian democracy is crawling at a snail pace, and those of the other advanced democracy, is on a fast track, is the mental state of the people.
Yeah.
The people over there see that it is their responsibility to protect the integrity, the powers and prestige of their nation. But back home here, we see that it is our responsibility to expropriate resources of the states, enrich ourselves at the detriment of the populace. So what we do, we try to blame the structures as the cause of the problem. Meanwhile, yes, there might be structural defect to an extent, but the real problem is not the structure of the country. We have been restructuring since 1960, even since 1954. Nigeria has been restructured. Is it economic restructuring? We have done economic restructuring. Is it political restructuring? We have doubling the structures. But the problem is we have not been able to restructure our mindset. That is why we are doing all these things. The question you ask, you see, the other time I talked about the law being the conscience of the states. Something you might see that it is your own, but does the law say so? If the law didn't say so, in the eyes of law, in the positive school of law, it says the law is as good as it is made. So if you don't like the law, what you do, you tinker with the law.
That's why there should be restructuring.
Follow the recommended actions.
Yes.
As stipulated by the Constitution. But back here in the Niger Delta, how far is it true that we are truly deprived in participating in our economic resources? We have 30% derivation. We have other money. Statutory allocations are coming every month. The thing now is, those who are managing those resources, that we so entrust with these resources, are expropriating these resources, stealing these resources, looting these resources in order to create a kind of protection to themselves. What they do is to brainwash the people as if nothing is coming, because they understood that if the people knows that the resources that are available, the resources that are curable to the development of this area are stolen by them, the people, may rise against them. So in order to raise that fence of protection for themselves, they will point at Abuja, diverting their attention. Because if you are so agitated, before you get to Abuja, your anger may have died. But if you know that the man that is actually eating the leaf, it lives on the leaf, then your anger can burn to the point that you go to that place, you capture the person.
Okay,
this is what I do. The same thing applies to the Southeast. Where there is wrong socio-political talks within the people, it ends like this. In the Southeast, some have been asking, show me the level the Southeast have been so marginalized. I don't know in government, because they have been so misinformed by some persons.
Okay. I think I have to stop you here on that line of argument. They're entitled to their perception because there are certain things are wrong in the system. I'm not saying that Biafra agitation is right. I will never accept it the way it is now because they have been proscribed. I've told you my position in terms of Biafra being an ideology. Now, do you have anything against fiscal federalism? In the First Republic, regions were doing very well. We were so prosperous. In the East here, we had a lot of palm produce. Because, of course, the Niger Delta region, for example, used to be known as oil rivers. And that also had to do with the rainforest region of Igbo land. And so much palm tree was there. And so we were prospering in palm produce. There were so many farm settlements in the East. There was prosperity. They were developing at their own pace because there was some level of fiscal federalism where they were getting 50% of their resources. Of the agreement from their resources.
There are other royalties that is paid to them before the IGR. There are other royalties. There are MOUs that are signed between the multinationals and the people of Nigeria.
Those are with the oil producing communities.
Yes, the oil producing community. Yes. That is why we did 30% derivation. It's not even meant for the state as a whole. It's meant for the oil producing communities.
But it doesn't go there.
But the governor, so it is not the
Constitution does not say
it is not the fault of the Constitution, rather. But the people who ought to know and the governors who are managing these resources have refused to allow these resources to go to the place that is meant for. That is the issue here. The governors are seizing it and diverting these funds. The fund is meant for the oil producing community. Now, there is nothing that is actually depriving the state from developing at their pace. Currently, in this system that we operate, we have states that are doing better. We have states that have high misery index, and states in the south are part of it, like River State and Delta, the rest of it. They are Bayelsa State. In fact, it was even reported at the time that among the poorest states in Nigeria, Bayelsa was number 3rd. Very shameful report. In fact, I was so pained to the point that despite the resources, Bayelsa was reported to be among the poorest states in the country.
No, it depends on indices. It's on indices. Because if you look at actual poverty, you see more poverty in the north.
That is what sometimes.
But the difference, talk of unemployment and all that. The difference is that while those in the north are very agrarian, they are agrarian in nature and they are productive because they are working with their hands. Those of us in the Niger Delta are much more involved in looking out for white-collar jobs. And the technology involved in oil exploration, the extractive industry, doesn't seem to favor us because of capacity building. And so that now has rendered a lot of people not quite,
You see, that is.
So when you use the word poverty,
that is the cause. I am telling you that here in the south, we are somehow, engineering this poverty from among ourselves. You see, the issue.
Are you sure it's not induced by government policy?
No.
That's what we're talking about, restructuring.
The government policy driven by who? By the federal or at the state level?
By the structures. That's what we're talking about. Fiscal federalism.
Let us understand one thing.
Do you know why they are talking about a new Petroleum Act?
Yes.
This is to bring the resources to the tables of the ordinary Nigerian.
Yeah, ordinary Nigeria
lives in a community where oil is produced. And that will bring prosperity.
Let's see this thing. There is nothing that is hindering the prosperity outside the political class and the wanton looting of public resources.
I like that argument.
Now look at it.
But there's a limit to that argument.
The issue of industry, agriculture, electricity, commerce are in the concurrent legislative list of the 1990 Constitution as amended. Meaning the federal and state can legislate on it, right? Now, is there any federal law that is prohibiting the states from engaging in industrial policy? No. Is there any law that is prohibiting the South state and the Southeast from engaging in agriculture? No. There is no. But the people have bloodily refused, to use the resources for the betterment of the people. If we have billions of naira, I was privileged to one of the information that I properly scrutinized after the sharing of the resources from FAC. I discovered at a time when Delta State received a whooping sum of 40 billion. The state like Borno was talking about 3 billion. River State was talking about 12 billion naira. Then at the end of it, I saw even Kaduna State, who got very paltry sum from the FAC, was initiating program that has to do with the industrialization, agriculture, and creation of job opportunities for Kaduna people, talking about 5 million jobs opportunity. But that year, the poverty rate was increasing, the unemployment rate is increasing, because for over a time, you don't see any concrete policies or drive of the government that is initiating opportunities for the people to work and to better their lives. These are the issues. If you go to the Southeast today, since 1990 date, I'll be asking, show me somebody, a Musa or a Daffy or a Timi, that will be governor of Abia State. If not for the Igbos that are also the governors. Show me anybody from the West or from Kaduna or from Katsina that will be governor in Anambra State since 1999. But you hear several policies in Borno, you hear policies in Lagos and the rest of it that are developmental, oriented. But you come back to the East, the thing is you are marginalization. Is there anything that is being shared at the front level you are not giving your own? Is there any political position? I think political, you wrestle for political position. You don't sit back and get it. You politic for it. If your politics warrant the extent for you to come on board, then you get it. That is what every other region are doing. And everybody making Nigeria your enemy. Awara is not so. If you allow the word used the other time, that if you go to any part of the country, you see an Igbo man, right? You see an Igbo man there. Is it that the people there are hostile to the Igbos and you still have the Igbos in those communities? The answer is no. It means for you to see an Igbo man in virtually all communities in the country, meaning the Nigeria people so accepted them as one people, one nation. That is why the conducive environment is provided them to thrive in their businesses as one nation, one people. The hostility is taken away. If I don't see you as part of me, I will never provide you that conducive environment for you to grow. If you are hostile to me, as we are seated here, I won't be able to flow, right? That is how it is. So the Nigerian people are actually celebrating them and accommodating them, believing that we are one people. So the glory should go even to the host community more, who accepted you and provided you the enabling environment for you to so progress in another land. That is how society resources that are given to any other part of the country, yours is given to you. Your people are mismanaging it. If you can channel those energy in questioning your people to provide you the evidences of the resources they are so received, I believe they will do better. At a time in the Niger Delta, all we were doing is a federal government, a federal government. But at a time, the Niger Delta people have to restructure their mind and began to question their own leaders. And since then, till date, we have seen evidence, we have seen a change. We have seen people now struggling to do one or two things, in order to buttress the sum they have been receiving. That is how it is. But in those days when we were saying the federal government, we were not seeing anything. But currently you see state governments, some are building flyover, some are building this, some are doing that. In the Niger Delta, at least, that is development to an extent. Only that it is not, people oriented to improve the economic base of the people. That is where we're having the problem. So the South is to look inward and disease from that wrong socio-political sensitization and implant they are putting in their minds that is destroying and eating the goods of the Southeast, and begin to question themselves. Disease, eschew those things that are making you to believe that Nigeria is against you, and absorb those things that make you to see Nigeria as your country, as your home, and develop your own land that other people will come and begin to thrive in terms of progress and economy as you are thriving in other places. Yes. These are the things we expected of the Southeast. But if they lie, will continue like Imam Powerful is trying to drive, brainwashing and deceiving certain people believe.
As was happening in Niger Delta.
Yes, if you destroy the property of your fellow Igbo man, then you are fighting one cause. What cause are you fighting?
No. I think that you're right, but you're almost coming to my position that ordinarily Biafra should be an ideology, not a kinetic.
It should be expunged. Because
it should be racist.
Yes.
Because if it comes to the point that, because after the war, there has been fight for integration. socio-political and economic integrity.
And nobody have denied them that.
No. Politically, there was a time they were being marginalized politically. You must be very...
At what level?
No, politically, in terms of political appointment, in terms of positioning, they were marginalized at a point in this country. And it was as if they were doing them a favor. You know, when you give them appointment, it's as if you're giving... Okay, look at what happened recently. President Tinubu is appointing ministers. After appointing ministers from each state, each zone was supposed to enjoy one person, one appointment. There was no zonal appointment from the east. None.
See, sir.
Because every zone, after appointing one minister from each state, then you appoint one from each zone. A particular zone in this country right here has two. So it is that kind of error. It may be an error that creates some kind of disaffection. I have not in any way supported, I can never support Biafra, but I'm saying that there should be a deliberate structural, some kind of structural process in our policy and in our politics.
That scenario
in order to make everybody have a sense of belonging, because it's only when you carry everybody along, whether we like it or not. There has been a process in this country where the country gets more and more divided.
Because people are driving that orientation.
So we need restructuring.
People are driving. See,
whether it is restructuring of ourselves, like you said, or restructuring of the entire process. The process, yes.
See, sir,
the entire process should be restructured. One of those issues I mentioned is fiscal federalism, and there are other areas. True federalism is another aspect of what we are saying, because people begin to feel a sense of
the sense of belonging is always there. See,
when you have some level of self-actualization.
They have never been seen. I've always told people one thing.
Yes.
Where there is no law, there is no offense.
Yes.
Where there is no law, there is no offense.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
If the law so left it as a prerogative of the president to create the number of ministry that is so one. I'm coming.
I don't have problems with your laws. That's why sometimes they don't bring law. When you're applying a revolution, you don't bring in a lawyer.
This is some people.
I think we're coming to the end of this segment.
Some people out there are believing this because that is the information in their subconscious mind, and they are acting it now.
Yes.
You see, under Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, our own brother here from the South, right? When he was the president, to an extent, the Southwest was almost short out of appointments and whatever inclusion in his government. Did you hear the Southwest people say, we are going Nigeria, destroy and all that? You hear them do that? No.
There was agitation. Serious agitation.
No, they didn't do what the Southeast Canada are doing. What they did was to re-strategize their politics, right? And today, they are out there.
That was when we began to hear strongly the voice of the Republic.
And at a time in this country, the Igbos dominated in terms of appointment.
Don't forget about the past.
Right. The past began the
You are talking about before the war.
Not before the war. After the war, right?
No.
After the war, go and check the Fourth Republic. Check other republic and see the appointment they've got. You see, to an extent, people are so misinformed.
1979?
I'm telling you, do you know under Buhari administration, some people were saying the South were completely shut out of our appointment and all that. Do you know it was false? I did my own research and I discovered that the South is over 100 appointment. That even the Southwest took over majority of the appointment.
Let's go on a break and then come to the next part of this discussion. I enjoy having you on this program. Well, we'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue with some of the stories. We'll have a very interesting and vibrant narrative this morning, and I'm sure you're enjoying it. I have my cup of tea here. I hope you have yours too at home. We'll come back after this short break. Don't go away.
lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought very firmly.
Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, pop news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, social economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Yeah, welcome back. We have a party here, and I'm talking about a party on Atlantic Television Network Saturday, our flagship weekend show here. My name remains Bon Woke, and the house is full. I have Mr. Akusi here in the studio. Mr. Akusi is a lawyer. You're welcome. And Amy Farah, the vibrant, vociferous social emancipator is here. You're welcome. I think I enjoyed you in the first segment. I hope you're going to continue with that. We still have something on independence. We're still talking about the Nigerian state, to be or not to be. Osun State government cancels all activities earlier slated for the commemoration of October 1st Independence Day in the state. That is the story. In a statement by the governor's spokesperson, Olawale Rasheed, unquote, let us use Independence Day to meditate and pray on the state of our nation. Our people are passing through tough times. It is time to take stock and seek divine intervention and guidance in the affairs of our nation. Unquote, I greet all Nigerians in general. I greet Osun State people and Nigerians in general as Independence Day knocks at our doors. Here in Osun, we will celebrate with meditation and prayers. The governor was quoted as saying, that's the story. It's almost in the same spirit with Nigeria, not IPOB. IPOB is it's a total rejection of Nigeria. I'll talk about flags. The federal government said there'll be no marching at Eagle Square. And it's going to be low-key. There's going to be a somber moment, as it were, to look deeply into our challenges as a nation. And with the hope that Nigeria will rise again. And that's what the kind of line of thought that we are seeing in Osun State. Some people have always talked about Nigeria always looking up to pray rather than take proactive measures. Take measures that will bring Nigeria out of the woods. Yes, it is good to pray. it's good to meditate. It's good to reflect. It's good to to have sober reflection. It's good to have somber moments about your failure. But the most important thing is, what are you doing to pull yourself out of the woods? So let me start with you.
First of all, I don't like the idea of comparing the opportunity.
Okay.
Independence Day is well known. We all know it's first of all.
Yeah.
You do not pray, you do not meditate. It is on that day you want to meditate. Nigeria has a serious problem with patriotism. Our patriots are dying daily. The citizens are losing hope. Putting them into downward meditation cannot guarantee what the outcome of that meditation is. Some of them will meditate themselves into Japan. Some of them will meditate themselves into suicide. We're seeing cases of suicide. Some of them will become agitators in the name of meditation. The government ought to come up and seize this opportunity and make a vibrant day celebration. Get the military, get the armed forces, get every stakeholder to make this celebration. Yes, we know that a lot of things have gone down the drain, but the beacon of hope is one of the most important aspects of any nation. If you kill hope, and you know, hope does not come with prayers and meditation, because you don't know what the person will get, the outcome of that prayer and meditation. You don't even know the prayer point because you didn't give them prayer points. So I am of the opinion that patriotism is dying in this country.
I need to raise it up.
Yes, we need to raise it up. The Day of Independence is one of such opportunity. I am almost thinking in my heart that, are they trying to save costs? Or is it a security challenge? But if we just pray and meditation, it's a foul reason, and it does not hold water. People in this country at this point, with the high kind of economy that we are having, with the news everywhere, we need a beacon of hope. This government would have taken advantage, but this is a time where you're not speaking about, you're not using technical jargons. You bring your grammar down to what the ordinary man is going to relate. So I am saying that this is a lost opportunity. It's misused, it's mismanaged, and the government would have done something different. They would have said it, but why not even gather and do the celebration? And in the place of celebration, can we all meditate on this issue and this issue and this issue? Rather than cancelling it out entirely, they are putting people into despair. Exactly. The average Nigerian would think that for our government to come to a point where they are telling us that we should go and pray, it means that it is a sign of hopelessness. Because Nigerians only pray when things are bad.
Exactly.
So you're already declaring that even you yourself, you have come to the point where you do not have solutions to what we are doing, and therefore you are now expecting that the solution is now in the hands of God. We do a lot, we take a lot of things into the religious sector.
Exactly.
When it is not even necessary.
Mythicization of issues.
Exactly. So we need our leaders to come up and speak to the people and reassure them and let them know that...
Celebrate Nigeria. Yes, celebrate Nigerians.
Funny enough, there is still things to celebrate about this country, no matter how downward it is. There are things that you can bring up and say, oh, yes, we have missed it here and here and here, but at least, if not for anything, we're still a nation.
Yeah.
We're still a nation.
So,
and Nigeria as a nation is a brand that is endlessly filled with potentials. There's still so much that you can drive home, even at the individual level. I remember...
You think about this silent celebration and killing of hope, as it were, and a situation where you are mythicizing the solution, the problem of Nigeria, behaving as if a Deus ex machina will drop from heaven to solve our problem, rather than bringing people to chart the way forward, to celebrate our oneness as a people. When you look at China and some of these big great countries, that is the day where they celebrate their arms. And you frighten, to frighten those who want to succeed. You frighten terrorists that, look, this country is loaded with arms and we can fight any day. The air display and all that can bring hope to Nigeria. What do you think? Rather than asking people to go back. Most times when people are in seclusion, they think what they come out with usually are dangerous. Yes.
And I do, man.
No, speak louder.
And I do, man.
Raise down your big voice.
You see, Knowledge said one thing, that when the purpose of something is not clearly understood,
Most of the Nigerian elected leaders and the rest of it, what we are doing is that we have no clear understanding why government is established. Prayer is not in the realm of success. Nigerians should get this clearly. Prayer is in the realm of revelation. Success has to do with deliberate decisions and follow-ups. If you don't do this, you will not grow. You can pray from January to December, you will not grow. But if you embark on decisive decisions, having a vision where you are going to, you will grow. Adeleke is an establishment of the law, right? He is the governor of Osun State because the law says so. And there is the reason the law says you should be a governor and a government in the state. In the Nigeria Constitution, I think section 14, subsection 1, said one thing very clear there. Say the Federal Republic of Nigeria shall be a state based on the principle of democracy and social justice. When we talk about democracy, we are talking about government that is elected to rule in the interest of the people. Government who should design policies that will better the lives of the people. Then the social justice talked about fair distribution of the resources, opportunities and privileges. You are a governor and you say because there are so many things that are happening in the states. Osun people are suffering. Osun people, and that is why you are cancelling the celebration. That is a birthday of Nigeria. Your birthday you didn't cancel.
I was going to come to that.
You celebrated your birthday. You celebrated the birthday of your siblings. You celebrated the birthday of your wife and children, your family, right? But when it comes to the national birthday, you say Nigerians are suffering, so therefore everybody should go and pray. But on the day of your own birthday, cake was bought, drinks were bought, food were cooked, and people ate. There was a lot of celebration and the rest of it. But the national one that gives you the opportunity to be so-called excellency, you say people should go and pray. Is that not hypocrisy? These are the things that are killing this country, right? How are you ensuring that social justice is seen in Osun State?
Yeah.
How are you ensuring that the resources of Osun State are equitably distributed to the point that yes, every household is rejoicing that they have you as a governor? Then if you go further, I think section 2, subsection, section 2, subsection 2B, subsection 2B of the section 40 of the 1999 Constitution then says, the primary purpose of government shall be what? Security and welfare of the people. How are you securing the lives of Osun people? How are you ensuring that the welfare services that ought to be delivered to the people as dividends of democracy is given to the Osun people? Right? You see, Osun people have resources, and you are the custodian of those resources. What we should be hearing today is, the government is doing a groundbreaking on one industry. The government is building a kind of empowerment scheme here. The government is doing that. We are not seeing things like that. All you are asking to people is that they should go and pray. Pray about what?
Yeah. Now, I think that one silent issue here, which we are all in agreement, is that a day like this will be a day where you fire the patriotism of Nigeria.
Yes, exactly.
Growing up, we used to sing Nigeria, we held our own, their native land. No tribe and tongue made thee, for him brotherhood we stand.
Yes.
That kind of, it reminds you of why you are together, why you are a nation. It fires patriotism. Today we're talking about rise, compatriot Nigerians, that kind of it.
There is a call.
Where is the call?
And who is obeying?
Who is obeying? So that is the problem. Now, how can you put this into another perspective? In terms of looking for means and ways of making Nigerians to become patriotic, we are missing this opportunity because this would have been the right thing where all Nigerians are in the mood of Nigerians are damping.
Yes.
And you're talking about resurrecting our mood.
Yes.
Because on a day like this, people will raise their flag and wave and sing. People will march. You watch them on TV. You make some kind of drama of our patriotism, some kind of drama of our hope as a people. that is eroded at the right time. This would have been the right time because our hope is dampened by the bad electoral process that we just passed through and the pessimism of whether Nigeria is going to be or not to be in terms, because a lot of people are like the IPOB and all that. What can we do again apart from this kind of thing, that this moment that we're missing? Okay, you just spoke. Okay.
Anyway, then while he was speaking, I was asking myself, we are very rich in cultural diversity.
Exactly.
If you call in all the cultures in Nigeria to come up with a glamorous display of the beauty of us as a people, do you know the kind of hope that will resurrect?
Exactly. And tourism will come too.
Tourism will come in. You see, each of the states in Nigeria is defined in such a way that there is diversity, even where there is unity of languages in some aspects. That level of diversity, we have over how many months? At least this government has stayed more than 4 months or so to put in things. You know, there's a first day of independence is coming up.
Yeah.
The first thing first, based on the issues surrounding even how power was, the INEC issues and electoral issues, the most important thing is unifying Nigeria as a country. If that agenda is in the foremind of a government, one of the easiest way to do that is to come up with programs, cultural programs, on the day like this, where the Igbo man, the Hausa man, the Yorubas come together in one arena to show their wealth.
The 250 ethnic groups in Nigeria.
Do you know what that will be? Do you know the color it is going to throw into the air? Do you know the hope, the kind of statement that can be made on those grounds? And then people can now say, okay, yes, we have missed it, but as a nation we can work again. But at this point, we're not even seeing the Ijaw man agreeing with the Igbo man. We're not even seeing the Igbo man agreeing with the Northerner. We're not even seeing even the Igbos among themselves agreeing, or the Ijaws among themselves even agreeing. So there is strong division cut across every board. So a day like this should have been first for me. Even if you don't want to talk about any other thing, you should be able to talk about how do we unify ourselves. And one of the easiest way to do that is to create a celebration that or take advantage and celebrate our cultural diversity, which we're very, very rich endlessly.
Exactly.
Even within a particular culture, for instance, the Ijaw people, even within the Ijaw people, you will have diversities of cultures. Within the Igbos, the same thing. The Anambras will come up with totally different thing from the Enugus. The Enugus will come up with totally different thing from the Imos. So if you go even to the north, the same thing. So we have taken advantage of this because, see, no matter what we're doing, as long as we don't agree, as long as we cannot sit together and think that we're one people, we're one nation, we are only just breathing a time bomb for future, whether would be or not to be Nigeria.
As a broadcaster who is involved in events, I think that one thing we are missing is that event planners, entertainment entrepreneurs are the ones losing more in this kind of issues.
Exactly.
By now, clubhouses, event centers would have been bubbling. People want to celebrate, go out there and celebrate Nigeria and all that. Churches, this is the time churches used to preach. They wear green, white, green, and all that. I wish to enjoy Independence Day. Why would anybody, for goodness sake, say we should not celebrate? It's not fair. The last shot on this so that we can go to the next story.
For me, the question you ask, how do we awaken our consciousness?
Being patriotic.
It boils down to one thing for me: repentance. The disagreement that we are having, that the Ijaw man is having within the Ijaws, that the Igbos are having within the Urobos are having within the Urobo is having within that political character of our political class. They are the one dividing the people for them to perpetuate themselves in position of authority.
In continuity.
Yes, in continuity.
Perpetuity. As you lawyers say.
Yes.
Yeah.
You see, if there can be political repentance across board, and those who are elected or appointed to be in the aims of affairs or manage the resources of people can utilize the resources for the betterment of the people, and the people which are the followers can also talk to themselves and say, imbibe in ourselves, that consciousness of the Nigerianness and work together as a people, then we have this. Deliver the services that are expected of you as a president, as a governor, as a local government chairman, as a senator, honorable, whatever capacity, minister, commissioner you occupy. Deliver this dividend of democracy to the people. And the people by themselves, you will see them adjusting to suit themselves into the new era of patriotism. But if these things are taken away, what is due to me, you are taking it from me. You go to my colleague here and you try to whisper something to his ear for him to fight me. And at the end, I will see him as my enemies for you to pay room for you to continue to reign yourself. Now accept
you're knowing that what I'm doing and the cause I'm fighting is wrong.
Yes, and the cause you are fighting is wrong. You are benefiting now to hell with every other person. These are the issues. So it is political repentance that we need across board, from Aso Rock down to the world level, to the police unit level, to the market, to the streets, to the churches. You know, there are people who are preaching this divisiveness among Nigerians.
Yes.
You know, making some people to believe that, no, these people are against us and all that. When you come to incite the people, both hating one another, you will not have that level of patriotism that is required to celebrate our Independence Day or our birthday. So we must imbibe in ourselves that consciousness that we are Nigerians by delivering the social goods that are expected from us. That is the only way we.
Well, I think you are great there in your analysis. One thing that echoes very loud is the rich and the poor.
Yes, sir.
So not Igbo, not Hausa, not Ikwere, not Ogoni.
I know that will affect the prayer points.
Well, I think that we'll go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue with this party. I call it a party. It's not just a dialogue.
On the point of order.
Honorable they are not picking our calls. They made up their minds. I am in the You're welcome back. It is still Atlantic Television Saturday, your flagship weekend program. We're here, the party is still full, and we still have a lot of stories, narratives to analyze. You can see the crew. The All Progressive Congress National Chairman, as the next story, Dr. Abdullahi Ganduje, appoints immediate past governor of Katsina State, Aminu Masari, as chairman of a 9-man committee to intervene in the lingering feud between Ondo Governor Rotimi Akeredolu and his deputy, Lucky Aiyedatiwa. In a statement issued on Friday by Ganduje's chief press secretary, Edwin Olufo, said, unquote, the National Secretariat of the party is really concerned about the unfortunate political situation in Ondo State, which, if not quickly averted, may lead to further disaffection among party faithfuls. Therefore, also unquote, in order to avert the misunderstanding and the after critical observation of the situation, the National Secretary has decided to wade in with a view to foster better understanding that may likely lead to amicable resolution. In light of the above, the national chairman of the party, Dr. Abdullahi Omar Ganduje, has set up a 9-man committee under the able leadership SY Governor of Katsina State, His Excellency Aminu Bello Masari, to not only intervene, but to also see to the peaceful reconciliation of all parties involved. The story continues. The party therefore assures all and sundry that through this committee, to interact and dialogue with all the stakeholders in the state based on mutual respect with a view to finding a lasting solution. National Secretariat urges all parties to remain calm and extend all the necessary cooperation and support to the Masari-led committee. Feud between governors and their deputies. That of Edo State recently.
Yes.
The Edo State deputy governor apologized publicly, and the governor said he has accepted. Now you have a drifting apart between the governor of Ondo State and his deputy, and it's getting deeper and deeper. And National Secretary wants to wade in, but the phenomenon is something that worries everybody, because once the parties and the government structures at the sub-national level don't seem to be working together, then there's a problem generally in the politics of Nigeria. So let me start with you. You are the last to speak.
Yes, I was the last to speak.
So let me start with the warlord.
I think when there are how the trying to However, I want to tell Nigerians, let us know our bounds. Whatever position we find ourselves, people should know their bounds. Yes, the conscience of the Constitution made the deputy governor and the governor a joint ticket, right? And they contested on that platform. But the deputy governor ought to know that it was the governor that nominated him.
He had the right to choose his deputy.
Yes, and nominated him and chose him to deputize him, right? So when there are certain things that you are trying to raise an ego, where your boss is still there, definitely the boss will not be happy. We want to assert his authority. Prove to you that, yes, he shows you, he made you. I want to unmake you. This is the situation in all those states. Akeredolu was president of Nigeria Bar Association. Akeredolu is a senior citizen. And being a governor, he ought to have shown certain examples. Because at the time, I listened to him where he was preaching all manner of things that can drive Nigeria to a glorious state where he wasn't a governor yet. I applauded him. Becoming the governor of Ondo State, I was so happy that, yes, Ondo State is going to experience social transformation that the state have never witnessed before. But to my shock, I was so disappointed that even Akeredolu is involved in fights that are very unnecessary, very, very unnecessary to the progress of the state. Now, what are they fighting? That the deputy governor is trying to usurp your powers. The deputy governor have no respect for you. The deputy governor is taking certain decisions that ought not to. Yes, it might be wrong, but should you have been to this extent that you were going? Did you report the deputy governor to the party that made both of them? And maybe the party, ought to have questioned, advising. You didn't do all of this. You came back and you suddenly decided to engage in a fight with your deputy. What are you showing the world? What example are you showing to people like us?
He was sick and he went to
the governors. Yeah. What example are you showing to us?
Yes.
You were sick, you came back, and all you are doing now is to engage in fight. For me, the fight is very unnecessary.
Yes, let me take you on that. You're a lawyer, and the issue of seeing deputy governors as mere spare tire is a very big problem in this.
I agree.
In the governance in Nigeria. And yet, the deputy governor has a constitutional position. It's a joint ticket.
Yes.
So, can you comment on that?
First of all, we have a serious structural issue, even with how our leaders image. He was saying that the governor appointed him. That is in theory. In practice, it's usually may not be so. Sometimes it's the party that will impose your deputy on you as part of ways of, we are in a country where political positions are used as a way of settling political friends and supporters.
Right.
Yes, so in a situation where I am also deserving, I have fought, I have made the party what it is, and they are using that deputy position to settle me. It's not about the constitutionality of my position anymore. It's about my interests and what I'm able to get out of it. So we have to go back again to what really is the process of selection. On what are the bases? If you can't trust this man to handle affairs in your absence, why even allow him to deputize you in the first place? Like you said, truly, in practice, Nigerian politics have shown that you are a vice, you're a deputy, what does that mean you call it again?
Yes.
Spare tire.
No, if it's even a spare tire, you have a chance of being used. If you're even a spare tire, you have a chance of being used. I think it's something worse than that.
That's spare tire, right?
Yes, it's something worse than spare tire. If I was trying to look for a language that would have been able to qualify that. You have even, look at what happened in River State. I almost cannot even remember how many times I saw my deputy governor, as in the last administration.
Yes.
I can't. I didn't see her, not in anything. So you're almost as though the state was ruled by one man. So we have to go back again and look at the structure of our institutions, and restructure them in such a way that everybody will be able to stand on his constitutional duties and say, no, I have done the right thing. The deputy's defense would have been, no, I didn't do anything out of my power as I've been in office. And the governor's issue would have been,
while you were in office, you did this, and they were out of your power. Why are you asking for respect? You're a governor, you're a political stakeholder, you're holding an office based on constitutional provisions that were handed over to you, not on traditional rights and tools. So what is your definition of respect? Is it that you asked him to greet you in the morning and he refused? You know, we need to know, because sometimes when they use these terminologies, I try to ask. Yes.
Like what happened in those states too, a situation whereby a deputy governor is entitled. This is the problem they have. You're talking about structural issue. A deputy governor is entitled to media aides and other people. It is the governor that appoints those for the deputy governor. It shouldn't be so.
No, it shouldn't be so.
It shouldn't be a deputy governor appoints.
He will appoint his own media aide, and there should be a provision in the structure to allow him operate even with funds. Yes, make choices and push things. And there should be proper allocation of duties within it. You can't tell me that the only duty of the deputy governor is where the governor is not there. Then he can act. That case is as good as would have taken away that position for the purpose of saving us cost of governance and have a Secretary of State who can always act in the absence,
and a chief of staff,
who can always act in the absence of the governor. But it's a sign that something is wrong with our structure, and we need to look into it again. And
so in settling this matter, matter is there to settle this matter. So he will not only be looking, should he only be looking at the human issues among them, or he should also look at the structural issues that he mentioned?
For me,
because one in isolation will not work.
Yes, exactly.
The structural issue have to do with constitutional.
So he has no hand in that.
He has no hand in that for the position of the deputy governor. But however, creating a constitutional role for the deputy governor is going to bring more crisis than expected. You know the Nigerian team, we are given little opportunity to become so egoistic, become a lord, you want to challenge. Now the role that is given to the deputy governor, now, if I were to be there, I would know that until this man is not there, that is when I can act. And peradventure there are issues that I need to decide upon. I will beckon on him now to direct me or seek his consent. Should I do it like this or like that?
Okay, well,
for the absence of this is what is creating this problem now. You are a spare tire. Until one of the tire is punctured, that is when you become useful.
Which in this case, one was punctured.
Realize that, okay, one was
punctured.
But the man was not completely taken out. He's still there. But you decided to become the governor, taking decisions on your own. Just follow the creation of the law. You see the appointment you make mention. That is to show the deputy governor that you have no say here. I am taking you to assist me when I cannot be there.
And I appoint those who will assist you.
Yes, I appoint people who can be there to make the job comfortable for you, to assist me. So whatever you are doing it to assist me. That ought to be in the mind.
That can only be in his mind, sir. If in his process of selection, the governor was given the sole responsibility.
Because it's recognized by the law to so do.
Yes, but again, we know what the politics is. We must come to the fact that our politics is not the way it is on paper. And Nigerians must face that reality. Because at the end of the day, even during primaries, we see that there is a lot of exchange of interests.
Yes.
And in the midst of this exchange of interest, okay, what is the basis for you to choose even a vice president, for instance? There's a lot of politics within the zones. This one come and say, if you don't give us the vice president, we're not going to vote for you, we're not going to do this.
So he's not representing
yes, at this point, yes, exactly. So at this point, even the deputy is now coming as a representative of a zone or a particular set of people
like in
within the state.
Upland or
to balance power distribution.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Now, if you take us back to the era of Atiku versus Obasanjo, at the federal level, the vice president is the chairman of the National Economic Council.
Yes.
Right? You know how Atiku was able to manipulate the governors to himself and against Obasanjo, just based on that little role that was given to the office of the vice president. To the point that when the Obasanjo is saying one thing, the governor will be saying another thing until Atiku will speak. That is when the governors will act. Atiku will call a meeting, you will see the governors there. But if Obasanjo is saying one thing, the governor don't regard him. Because Atiku was able to manipulate the minds of the governor.
So it depends on the individual.
It's a character thing.
Yes. It's something with this office of chief of staff, which is not in the constitution.
Yes.
Exactly. It's not constitution. It's the creation of the president or the governor.
And the chief of staff is more powerful than any other.
Got the point where the chief of staff became more powerful than
He's even more powerful than the deputy.
That's it.
Than the deputy who came in constitutionally.
Exactly.
So the messenger to the chief of staff.
And that's why people are saying they should remove the office of chief of staff, because they're following the American.
Even in my beginning statement, I said that if this is the case, why not remove the deputy and have the office of either the secretary of the state or the chief of staff, so that we know that once you're not there, which is normal even in corporate organization, if the managing director is not there, the secretary is the next most important person. And so we should look for a way to look at our governance style of governance. And actually, like you say, it's a constitutional issue. But I don't think it's too late for us to look at our constitution. So far, so good. And ask ourselves, how has this helped us both to build a nation, to manage our economy, to manage our policies, and a whole lot of others. To even manage ourselves as a people. And I can still say it again. It is not too late for Nigerians to look at these issues, and both the lower house and the upper house come together and say, no, let us come back.
So resolving the problem now, Masari is going to look at the human problem, relationship problem.
Yes.
The structural problem will still be there and may still rear its ugly head in subsequent feud.
But good things, sir. They are the one in power. They should talk to themselves.
Okay, that's the point.
Yes, I think we should. Yes, now they have power in their hands. And we thank God for the kind of House of Assembly they have too. I mean, Senate House that cooperates with them. Called them and said, for the sake of the future, can we look into this matter at the Constitution?
Let's look at the next story. It's an interesting one. The Chancellor of and Chairman, Board of Regents, Covenant University, Ottawa State, Bishop David Oyedepo said until African leaders see leadership as an avenue to provide solutions to societal problems and not just occupying a position, the continent may not get it right. Also said looking outside for solutions to the problems confronting the continent is not the way to go. The founder of Living Faith Church worldwide, talking about Bishop Oyedepo, a statement on Friday during the 18th convocation ceremony of the Covenant University tagged Release of Eagles 2023, his speech to mark the anniversary themed Looking Ahead said, leadership is not the position held, but the solution provided. Good leaders think about others, they think about the future, they think about the solutions to problems, among others. They are creative, innovative, and are focused. You can't arrive at a future you are not prepared for. No foreign interest will help us to find solutions to our problems. Lands don't move from one point to the other. It is where they are that they solve all their problems and get what they need. These are quotes. When the colonial masters came, they didn't meet our forefathers living on trees. It was not the colonial masters that taught our fathers how to cook, take care of their health. They were doing these things before the colonialists arrived. Our fathers had ways of defending themselves against intruders. That is why in Covenant University, we are 99.9% indigenous. Universities should add value to the society. I'm happy that Covenant University is doing just that, like it was said. I think he's saying a lot of things about Africa, about his institution, and about the continent of Africa, and most importantly, he's talking about more of self-determination and having a university that is indigenous. I don't know what he means by that. Can you together? In our time, the university was seen as a global institution. I remember I was taught by so many Americans, so many Britons and all that, even in primary school, secondary school, because education should be a global education. And one of the problems we have in our university system today is our universities are becoming community secondary schools where only teachers from within are there. So saying that university is indigenous, does it add any value? Is it a positive commentary? Let's start from there before we talk about his comment from Africa about Africa. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, me?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay.
There are a lot of positive things he has said.
Yes.
But I think Nigerians have come to the point where, I thank God for the statement of the bishop generally, but I think Nigerians have come to the point where we're tired of talking. Our political class is failing us, and it's time for people at that level to come in with practical things that can work. Education is at the fulcrum of any development and any civilization. And if that education cannot come even to the poorest of the masses, it is not going to make any sense. So these are things that they have to reconsider. Currently, as we're talking right now, in the next 6 months from now, we're going to have some kind of strike in the universities, not from us, but from parents, because of their inability to meet up with fees. These are very strong issues that are underlining, very visible, even to a blind man right now. And how do we foster a strong civilization and industrialization where even the quality of people coming out from our universities cannot even function in the institutions that we hope to man? If these are issues that are there, yes, there's this very statement I picked that I think I also want to stand on, which is the fact that he made an important statement where he said our fathers were able to solve their problems by themselves even before this thing, which is one thing our political class is not doing. Every time we want to solve our problem, we look outward. It has become a norm with all the administrations we are having. We want to raise $700 million to do a project. Guess what our leaders will think of first? Let's go to China. Okay, no, China will not give to us. Let's go to Switzerland. Oh, no. I think UK came to ask us that they want to do a company. Let us tell them to give us that money as conditions. So before you know it, it is always outside. Meanwhile, we have a situation in this country where I was shocked during the NSAS that Lagos State said they were losing a revenue of over 70 billion per week. That's a very big amount to quote. If you multiply that by 1 year, you know how much we're talking about for just one state. But once this crisis go, nobody knows where those monies enter. The call of the bishop is, as a nation and as a continent, African leaders must look inward. I have seen say that a lot of policies at the Western level is crippling the African states, and it cannot work. For instance, we have more than 5 African countries that are rich in gold, and yet their currencies are not stored in gold. There is no way your currency is going to gain advantage against the Western currencies of dollars and euros if you're pitching your currency against theirs instead of against a gold reserve. So these are things that they are not looking inward. In scientific-wise, how many science fairs do we have here? How many science research institutes do we have? Once we have the best brains in Africa, they will buy them over. The next few minutes, you find out that he has gone over to this country or that country, he has become a consultant, or is now working in the science. And when the invention comes, it will be tied to those nations. So we are really not doing a lot inside. Even our agricultural products, fertilizers that we even depend on, do you know they are not produced? Most of them are not produced in Nigeria. So even to fertilize our own this thing, we look at what, how were our parents doing it? How were the generation before us, how did they survive? The bishop has a strong point on that. But outside that, I think too, bishops and others at his level, the religious, has come to the point where some of these politicians also attend their churches. Our political leaders also pay tithes and offerings over there. Their messages have to change to call for a more national interest and forward-looking approach for some of these men. In fact, we've even seen it during the campaign period that most of these men go to them for prayers. What do you tell them? What are your positions? Now you're telling a generation that when the generation come out, they are graduating. It's in a graduation ceremony, this was said. When those graduates come out, who are they going to meet? They're not going to meet you. They're going to meet this class of politicians. They're going to meet with a bad economy. They're going to be met with desperate decisions to take almost on an instant. The chances of them coming up with the best is not there.
Yeah. Now look at it. There are two things there. There's this contradiction between globalization and so-called colonialism or neocolonialism. That's what he's talking about there. Can you relate any hiatus between the two?
Yes.
Yeah.
Currently, only Africa as a people had our democracy, had African democracy. But the moment Africa decided to abandon themselves, the real person they are, and decided to align themselves with the Western culture, and become a carbon copy and paste, that is where our problem is.
What Professor Oko calls apism.
Yes.
Cultural apism.
We copy what is not ours. So if you see Africa is now struggling, Africa is struggling. In the hinterlands, who were growing up, we discovered that our parents making, was it the white man that taught them?
No.
Our parents made some rope that were using to climb palm trees and the rest. That is science. Where is the science today?
That's craft. That's craft.
You see, today the white man came and deceived us. And we allow ourselves to be so deceived that we have no science. We have no base for living. So therefore we must jettison who we are and copy whatever they have. And today we are suffering. Africa has a democracy. The African democracy is the one that will not allow you to steal public property for yourself. The African democracy is the one that will not allow his kinsmen to suffer where others have. The African democracy is the one that hates stealing at all fronts. So the African democracy protects one another. The moment we abandon this African democracy, this African orientation, and we buy the one they call the Western way of life, to the point that even our foods have become a taboo, an abomination. Our mode of dressing, our languages will now abandon who we are and now copying the Western economies and the rest. How are you going to survive?
How do you differentiate it with cultural primitivism? Because people talk about, they look at the past with some kind of nostalgia and want to dwell in the past. And that's what has the issue of globalization. Because you cannot live in isolation. Even China has broken the iron curtain. They started their revolution with cultural revolution.
Yes.
But today, if you go to Hong Kong, it's not different from London, it's not different from New York. So what is the place of globalization and this issue you're talking about?
Those people you make sure.
so that we can run away from cultural primitivism.
Yes. There is primitivity, I agree.
Yes.
Right? But there is also cultural advancement. Mm-hmm. Right? Those people you mentioned, they decided to build on what they have and not completely jettisoning who they are.
Okay.
And copying the West.
Okay, they use that to build.
They use what they have to build themselves to the level they are.
Okay.
Let's
get his view on it.
I think the whole idea is this. Someone said something about India. We were both colonized by the same colonial masters. Yes, and at the same time too. But look at what they did. They look at the science. There's always something good about the West. We can't just say, oh, West is bad. No. If anybody does that, the person is a Stone Age person. Yes. They looked at it and said, these guys have technology, things that can refine culture, things that can refine our own ideology, things that can refine our own medicine system. Now, and they picked that and then put it into their culture, existing culture, and began to refine it. Now there's so much that we can do. Even their movies is using the refined technology of media to still pursue their culture within their movies. So they are not losing their identity. The first thing is that we are having an identity crisis.
Beautiful. You mentioned it. That's beautiful.
We are having an identity crisis here. So to the point that if you speak your language to someone, or let's just say the local parlance, which is Pidgin English here, you speak Pidgin English in Nigeria, there's someone who's looking at you as something is wrong with you. Now, we can even speak the English, and I say, okay, I want to apply for a visa. They still put a proficiency test on me. Then they are the one that colonize us and say we must speak the English. So, these are the issues. Meanwhile, they will not put proficiency test on their own Western counterpart, like the French people and all that. Why? Because you cannot force a Frenchman to speak English. He will come with his interpreter.
But he knows how to speak English.
Yes, he knows how to speak English. He will learn it for the purpose of globalization, because there is this need for us as, now the world is a global village.
Exactly.
And, communication has been made to, distance have been broken.
By communication.
The distance barrier has been broken. Both visual and sound has been broken already. Now, so what we are looking at is, why not use the tech? Why not use the education? Why not use the refined information that has been proven to work, and then bring it back home and find out if this is going to work exactly the way it is, or you need to adjust it. For instance, look at their cars. Their cars carry heater. Our cars don't. It's a sign that what works exactly environmental difference.
We have orthopedic beds in those days. We didn't know it was called orthopedic bed. But once you're sick to a certain level, they put you on this straight mud bed that is very strong.
Very strong.
Yes, you there. And we didn't know it was contributing to the we didn't understand the rationale of our parents and the medical healers then, why they were insisting that there was a proper bed for the person to stay and not the spring bed and all that.
And not the spring, and not the water.
Another water.
You know the water now.
Wiki. So it is that, but now with the level of information that is available in global space, we now know that they were doing the right thing. It is now back to come back. Do you know that there are still illnesses that are easily cured using traditional healing methods than when you go into the West? So what we're supposed to do is not to say, oh, let's throw away what we have and receive what they have, or let's throw away what they have.
And that's the point he was making.
Yes, and stay with what we have. That's not the point. Adopted the same thing, I've abandoned it.
Have they abandoned we?
Yes, they're not using it. So you can come in well dressed with your suit and your tie, and the court should be able
to listen to you. But I can tell you right now, if you make a suggestion for our dress code to change, the people that will fight you, they're not fighting you.
That's to be the only thing lawyers have to be. That we can go. I mean, I don't support them removing it. They should wear it. They should wear it and then stop sleeping in court. All eyes on the judiciary and all of you were sleeping.
After can you stand the 12 hours of a speech?
That will be summarized. That will be part of what we are going next.
What you just said now.
Yes.
You come back home. See, all those restrictions, limitations that are placed on Nigerians or Africans, dependent on the foreign culture. The moment we are able to detach ourselves from it, then we become the better people that we are. See, we have Bible, Quran that are written in our local languages. But do we have any science book that is written in our local language?
No.
They don't want you because they know by the time.
Fafuwa wanted to bring that.
So but they know that if you are able to do this,
he said he wanted to write.
But it is not them. The challenge is not them. Because we have professors of language here. What are they doing with the books?
See, you just said something now. If you don't wear wig to the courtroom, you see how they are because they have been washed up to so believe this. Now, if you come back home again, you look at the African setting. You look at how we live our lives. You look at the leadership style. You see, if we are working with the African culture that prohibit me from stealing because there is a drastic measure that will checkmate me if I ever took what belongs to the public, and you will see everybody will adjust themselves and live the proper life. So, leadership that he talked about today, I want to agree with him to an extent that leadership is meant to solve problems, right? The political leader comes to his church, and leadership is not limited to the political sphere. There's also leadership in the religious angle. But how many of this leadership are they given to Nigerians from that area? Jesus Christ in the Bible talks about altruism, living life for others. Are the religious leaders today with the resources that is available to them, are they living that altruistic life in the present condition of the Nigerian?
They want our politicians to do it first.
So you see, all these are the issues.
Yes.
So if leadership is not shown by example, so when you are talking, people will always look at you. How are you portraying leadership from your own water?
Little cycle.
From your own little cycle.
Yeah. I think that's the last we can take on that. Foreign interest is not the solution to our problem. That's what you're talking about. I think that there should be some kind of relationship between the two. One cannot be in isolation.
Exactly.
That's the conclusion of this panel. Now let's look at the next story. The People's Democratic Party demands all Progressive Congress to come clean on the desperation to conceive vital details about President Bola Tinubu academic records at the Chicago State University from the public. The PDP in a statement by the party's National Publicity Secretary, Debo Olugunaba, in Abuja on Friday said, unquote, the PDP recalls that President Bola Tinubu, in a public function, openly asserted to Nigerians that I was one of those most recruited graduates of my university. Multiple honors, first-class degree, and I have a reference point. In view of the above assertion, the PDP therefore holds that the plea by the lawyers that the details of his academic record should not be released is a great disservice to President Tinubu in particular and Nigeria in general. This desperation to conceal vital information is consistent with APC's penchant for trickery and underhand dealings in their transaction with Nigerians, which has heightened under the Abdullahi Ganduje leadership. By appointing Dr. Ganduje as the national chairman, APC further confirms itself as not only being a cesspit of corruption, also an irredeemably given to consummate of depravity. Sleaze and mendacious acts. The APC must, in the least, acknowledge desirability and moral duty placed on it to encourage, insist, and ensure that it is transparent. Nigerians, indeed with the world, failure to discharge this duty to Nigerians is condemnable, that's the word. Litany of probes, inquiry, and investigations which were instituted on various matters without reports under the APC since 2015 validates the above. Olugunaba added, unquote, very long quote, it is clear that the APC is a major threat to our nation's democracy. The PDP calls on all men of goodwill across our country and beyond to stand firm in the defense of democracy, transparency, and the rule of law in Nigeria, especially at this critical time. Now look at this story. Yes, a lot of his classmates have come to confirm that they're actually a first-class student, graduate of that university. They have come to confirm that he was a union leader in the department. And Tinubu himself seems to be hiding something, as people suspect. The issue of his academic credential is not in doubt. The issue of all the accompanying details. And I hear one opposition leader cry openly and vehemently that Tinubu is afraid of getting those records because of his age. And that is why PDP is pointing accusing fingers. But some people also see the entire agitation, the entire litigation as needless. What's your take on that?
Okay, so, sir, we don't want to take this.
Who takes the first salvo on this?
Okay.
I think we're setting this.
Qualification.
2003, when he was governor, then president of the so he went as far as issue of bordering on crime, drug, and all that came up. Issue of certificate forgery, came up. And at the end, the University of Chicago,
No, because there are two.
Yes.
The University of Chicago.
Yes. The university actually affirmed that it's the Bola Ahmed from the school that was there. Subsequently, issues of he didn't graduate, he didn't go to school, and all that came up. And the university once again affirmed that this man called Bola Ahmed was our student, and he graduated from the school.
First class.
And this is his discipline. Everything was stated very clearly. But some Nigeria became doubting Thomas, and suddenly
you are looking for something.
Yes, became a Department of Investigation in the United States that accredit maybe institutions of learning in the United States. So they are still doubting the authenticity of the credential, the certificate, or whatever. an article went to US, right, to seek information, more information on this revelations. And the transcripts were released to
They were in the public space.
public space for everybody to see. That was done by the university, not by any other.
Now, you still want further
You
records.
still want further records. And you are saying that...
Is he not entitled to it?
And you are saying that it's a cesspit of corruption because APC is concealing something. That is badadash to me. It shows signs of desperation. Now, let's even go back to the US where the matter is. In 2016, no, that was 2011 first. 2011, when Barack Obama was seeking re-election, a certain Donald Trump called Barack Obama as a terrible student and the most dishonest president the United States of America had ever elected. And he said Barack Obama should publish his academic records, to prove that he's not what he has said of him.
A university child.
Yes. And Barack Obama said no. He objected to that demand, that he will not publish it. The reason being that if I do so, the Republican and Trump, they use it for mischief purposes.
Exactly.
And Barack Obama, they relied on an existing law in the United States called the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act,
Yes.
that exists in the States. Then in 2012, Donald Trump wasn't satisfied. He wanted to push further, and he offered to give $5 million to any charity that Barack Obama will name, only if he can publish his academic records. Barack Obama reminded him again, this is a law that protects my privacy. And there is nothing compelling me to publish my academic credentials. So this is this thing you are calling now. I will not do so. And the matter died because there is an existing law. Trump and the Republicans have to subject themselves to the rule of the law, allow the matter to so die. Does that mean that Barack Obama didn't go to school? Because the demand Donald Trump and the Republicans were making then was that Barack Obama should publish his Columbia University records and his Harvard Law School records.
Yes,
he didn't do so. Columbia University didn't publish. Harvard Law School didn't publish. Does it mean that Harvard Law School and Columbia University were insincere? That they were trying to cover Barack Obama? The answer is no. People should learn to live by law and respect law.
Yes.
But in the case of the Nigeria state, we don't do that.
Okay.
In Nigeria, we have scenario like that. Edo 2020 gubernatorial election, Obaseki versus Ize Iyamu, where the APC and Ize Iyamu accused Obaseki as a dropout
from University of Ibadan.
Yeah, from University of Ibadan. It was the University of Ibadan that made press statement confirming that Obaseki indeed graduated from the school. The APC allowed the matter to, and the matter died because the institution that had the sole responsibility to prove the authenticity of whatever Obaseki was fronting has confirmed it.
Yes.
In Rivers State, we have the issue of Jonathan, Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, that was being accused of perjury the other time. And the university, where the rumor was so spreading like a Matan fire, it was University of Port Harcourt under the era of William Wody, who was the deputy registrar. He was the one that issued a press statement through electronic mail affirming that Goodluck Jonathan graduated from University of Port Harcourt and all the degree that is fronting they are authentic. And that is how the matter ended. Nobody called University of Port Harcourt to court to come and approve or submit the academic records of Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. But in the case of PDP now, to tell you the desperation, if you don't have law, respect for law in your country, it will be very difficult to have respect for law in other places.
Yes.
The man who is asking or demanding for this record today in US also has an issue. In US, there was a Senate committee report. They call it, I think, a report by the United States Senate Permanent Subcommittee report on investigation, chaired by Senator Carl Levin, who actually allegedly indicted Alhaji Atiku Abubakar of siphoning millions of dollars to his fourth wife in the United States. This is a report from the Senate. This is an allegation. If you have become a born again and you want to be an agent of rightness in the current society of ours, why don't you go to the United States and submit yourself to the prosecuting department of the United States, because you want to show as an example leader to Nigeria. I say, I have come to prove my innocence. That yes, I didn't partake in all this. The report by Carl Levin Senate Committee is false. Now try me and let me prove my innocence. You have not done that. But you are here now asking Tinubu, a university that have the responsibility and the constitutional right to award degree, and they have done so. You are now questioning the university that they should give you the academic records. That is his admission letter of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, all his record in year 1, year 2, everything will not be birth certificate, will not be given to you. That you are who? That you are who now? You are Lord, the President of the United States does not even have that right.
Okay.
And you are claiming such right. I think how we are come to the
okay. That's one side of the story. Now, the laws you quoted, can there be an exception to the present reality?
There is always an exception to every rule. That's even a principle of law.
Okay.
In every general rule, there's an exception.
Okay.
And usually, when the case for an exception is made, the court will look at it and say whether you have met the demands for that exception, and then they will grant it. But usually there's a general rule. The general rule, first of all, is that you have a right of privacy, and it is protected by law. There are conditions for which that right can be breached. The case of Donald Trump and Obama is different from this, in the sense that they were not saying that Donald Trump forged Barack Obama forged a certificate, or was that he was not a graduate in the actual sense.
He said dishonest student, dishonest president ever elected, meaning there are so many dishonest activities like group forgery.
And again, in that their setting, political actors are protected during campaigns.
Okay.
There's a lot, even indictment, you shouldn't indict a political opponent, even if there are issues of indictment, because they are trying to protect the political institution, so that, at this point, a lot of sensitive things comes out. Whatever thing that goes out to the public become a global shame. So the American people, they're very wise, they're very smart.
Yes.
However, in our own case, the issue behind the pursuit of PDP is backed up of PDP on the issue of Bola Ahmed Tinubu's, that the president certificate is built on conspiracy theories, a lot of them on ground. We must not take our eyes off the fact that it is not just a political pursuit at this point. There are bases for which it is done. Yes, according to them, in their arguments as presented before the courts in the US, they are saying that he had made his academic record an issue. And because of that, it is important for them to know what the content of it is. There are 3 things that are important there. You've mentioned one. It is not just a certificate, only carries a name. And once it carries that name, 2 persons, 3 persons can bear that same name. The issue will now be, what is the certainty that you are the Ahmed Bola Tinubu and not me? Now, that is where they are pushing the argument to. Now, at that point, it means that...
is the picture not there?
No, the picture is not there. Picture is not there. Picture is not there.
What about the picture of the admission letter?
No, picture is not on the certificate. Yes, but it will be on the admission letter.
And your file.
Yes, it will be on the...
so it's your face.
Yes, exactly. So now it is on that note that they're saying they're looking at 3 things based on the conspiracy theories. Number 1, they're saying that the Ahmed Bola Tinubu that went to Chicago on the conspiracy theories is not the same Ahmed Bola Tinubu. That's on the conspiracy theory. They're saying that it is a female and not a male. They're saying that the dates of admission is not the same as opposed to what he claimed. They're also saying that his date of birth too is also not correct, as he has deposed here. Now, because of our extant law, where these things have been made an issue before a court, and it is that if it is found that you have lied either on your age or on issue of your...
That's perjury.
Yes, it amounts to perjury and automatically disqualifies you. These politicians are playing games among themselves. Me, I will not even want to come into the arena. Everybody is looking for where he will shoot and the enemy will die. So...
I'm wasting our time.
Yes. So he had looked at it and said, if this is the only shot I have, the only bullet I have, I want to make it worth it. Let me push it to the end.
Do you think he's going to bring anything?
Now, the good aspect of it is that this thing is not, at the end of the day, it's not about the average Nigerians. It's not about the population. It's about the political class and their interests, and that's what they're pushing.
Somebody has been a governor for 8 years?
Somebody who has results.
Partially.
Yes.
And the court also recognized that act, that law, that extant law in the United States that protects the individual.
Yes.
And the court cited that law. So it is now within the discretion of Bola.
So let's
but you're also missing the point. The point is that the court also said, because you have made it an issue before a court by presenting this thing, that's where they
I'm not getting something clearly here. Who made it an issue?
It has,
Bola Tinubu or the people who are
it has become an issue.
It wasn't him that made it.
No, whether it was him or not, it has become an issue for determination.
Created conspiracy theory in their minds. Wants to establish that conspiracy theory and force it down the throat of Nigerians. That is why they took this thing to the United States. The institution has so confirmed. University of Port Harcourt did it.
Does it have a right to pursue it?
The University of Port Harcourt did it, right? And the opposition looked at it that this is the right body to so affirm. They awarded this thing, and they are the one affirming, telling you that yes, this thing is real.
So if there's nothing to hide, why not allow them?
There is nothing. Okay.
If there's nothing to hide, yes. Why just say, look, I know that I got this thing genuinely, and I know what I have.
There are certain exercises that are unnecessary.
Very unnecessary.
That will be trivializing your personality and your individuality.
At the end of the day, my own is that this thing, first of all, is calculated to embarrass the person of Ahmed Bola Tinubu.
Exactly.
That one is first. Secondly, I also know that
I'm wasting the time of Nigerians.
I also know that our politicians fight dirty. This is not, we are making it look as though the APC is on the right hand side of God and the PDP is on the other side. No. I think that this is to show the world the kind and class of political environment that we have. If in the case of Bush and Agon, you know what happened? Agon actually looked at it and said, look, if I pursue this case, it's going to change the politics of America. Because he was insisting that he won the election. And looking at the result and the way the election gone, the possibility is that he may have won it. But they called him and said, look, if you pursue this thing, think about the global face of America. Think about the nation. While the case was yet to be tried, Agon pulled out. And he gave a press statement that for the sake of America, I am not going to pursue this.
Yeah.
Now, but we don't have that class
of politicians.
Our politicians fight dirty from the day of, from the day of, not even the election, from the primary down to the day of election, there is dirty fighting.
The fight continues.
And the fight continues even after the election. So this is part of the dirty fight we are seeing. And I will not say one person is right or wrong, because this is how they've been playing the game.
I like what you're saying.
This is how they've been playing the game. Let them continue playing the game like that until we're ready to change the structure.
You've raised a very vital issue of putting the nations first.
Yes.
Putting the interests of the nation first. That's what our politicians are not doing.
They're never doing it.
So round off with
this. And in this case, that is what Atiku is not doing.
Yes,
now, the institution of the state have so declared, and you have a law in your country that doesn't mandate the president to so publish his academic
beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring honest pop news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, social economy. On ATN.
And we're going to trail off right now with the Northern Elders Forum story. That means we're changing the narrative, the Tinubu narrative and the rest. Well, the crew is still here. We're having fun. We're having a ball, even behind the camera. The ball still continues. The Northern Elders Forum asks federal government to punish those caught collaborating with bandits in the existing security system of the country. In a statement on Friday by the Northern Elders Forum Director General, Professor Dr. D. Sheni, he said, Nigerians in general and the people of northern Nigeria in particular have over the years seen their lives and business cruelly ravaged by mounting insecurity, which is characterized by religious insurgencies, banditry, and what have you, including kidnappings. So we strongly recommend that, given the overwhelming cases of bad elements hibernating and nesting in the existing security system, there is an urgent need for government to, on a continuous basis, fish out and administer severe punishment on all those caught red-handed, collaborating with the cowardly bandits and also criminally fostering their many nefarious kidnapping escapades in our peace-loving nation. But again, the cumulative adverse effect of these social ills on the relative state of stability, strong social cohesion, and the future economic prosperity of the North have been well documented elsewhere to really belabor us here. Suffice it to say that while we in the Northern Elders Forum feel enormously encouraged by the good news of the recent timely rescue of some of the kidnapped Gusau girls by our gallant soldiers, notably following the order given by His Excellency President Bola Tinubu, we in NEF shall remain unwavering in our determination to secure the release of all those still in captivity and the speedy return of peace and stability to the North and Nigeria as a whole. Towards this end, we wish to reaffirm our unqualified sympathy and shared concern with parents and families of the victims of the inhuman act. The forum also calls on the federal and state and local governments to forge a strong collaboration aimed at creating a more holistic, robust, and enduring security system, which is anchored on activating local vigilance, empowerment, and fair and effective service delivery to all citizens. This may be our last time. It doesn't seem to be materializing. The Chibok girls, the Leah Sheriffs of this world are still in captivity. A lot of people are still in captivity. But it talks about synergy in tackling security issues. That appears to be the way to go. How do we achieve this synergy? How do we release all those in captivity? Rescue that.
I think I'm always sounding like a broken record on this.
Yes.
Issue of insecurity must be intelligence-based. The last time, that was last month, the Inspector General of Police is saying that they stopped giving license for ammunition.
Yeah.
And that there are a lot of ammunitions that are unlicensed in this country. And I asked myself, how did this ammunition come in? Which borders did they pass? Security must be an overhaul. Which borders did they pass? Where are the places where our borders are porous? And this whole thing was coming up because one police DPO got shot.
Yeah.
So they took security very seriously. As I'm talking to you, the people involved in all these things have been arrested. And even to the point that the native doctor that used to prepare sham for the boys were also arrested.
Not all of them. Two Baba is still at large.
At large, yes, but you could see the level they have gone in less than few weeks on this issue. The reason is, I keep saying, whenever security issues are pending, are taking too much time to settle, it is because those at the helm of affairs are not issuing the right commands. They are not giving the soldiers the free hand to handle things in the manner they should do. You give somebody order to say, go and catch this person with your bare hands. Make sure you don't shoot him. And the person is holding guns, facing you. So back to what I was saying. Intelligent policing and intelligence is the key. I've talked about drone fights. I've talked about drone surveillance. These are things that you can use to comb an entire area. These guys are not, they're not spirits. They work within communities. Some of the communities they have taken over, by now we should be able to have intelligent officers who are living in those communities as members of those communities to continue to send reports without being compromised. I lived in a part of Diop I used to live there, that was very, very porous. And we had all manner of court boys there. Gangsters. We had them. We knew them by face. But unknown to us, then we used to call them CID. We didn't know that CID was, which is the SSS, had men that were living, we were eating, drinking with them, but we never knew that these persons were eliciting very sensitive report. The day they came in, not even one
Sting operation.
Yes, not even one of those boys escaped. So we have to go back to intelligence and intelligent gathering. How are they getting their sponsorship? Who is paying? How is the money being wired? People are being kidnapped every day. When people are withdrawing large sums of money, what is really happening? So I think there's a part we're missing in this whole thing.
Yes,
and
because it specifically talked about the natural elders will talk about those who collaborate.
Exactly. So
the issue of collaboration is the focus of the analysis.
Exactly. So, and that can only be gotten through intelligence gathering.
Okay.
Because these persons must they have accounts. They must say there's a way the money moves, and that is one of the things. Sometimes instead of even chasing the collaborators, track the money, because where the money goes, that's where they will go. So if we don't have all these tracking systems, these intelligence systems put in place, we need to have cameras that can shoot up to 7, 8, 9, or 900 kilometers. So from far, you can pan in from a particular place. We don't even have cameras in the whole of River State on the road. Civilized countries have gone beyond this. So by the time, and one of the major places they put cameras is at traffic light points. In fact, originally it was kept to help people to follow traffic rules, but it has also helped to know those who are communicating. So by the time your car zooms off, those in the control unit will be able to say, this is the car that passed, this is the plate number, who is it registered to? Before you know, you've gotten information here and there.
Yeah.
But we are not seeing that.
Well, in just 2-3 minutes, can you knock off this issue of collaboration? A lot of people are saying that insecurity has a lot of political undertone. People who are gaining from it, they use it to punish Jonathan and all that. And the other leaders are still insisting on this issue of collaboration. Just 2 minutes, so I will knock it off.
I think what we call it.
Yes.
Dancing around any of these issues are sometimes not that elders should respect us. When this is happening, saw it as a movement against certain persons. It crept into the
became a Frankenstein monster.
Then later they started, they are not Nigerians, they were coming from other places because you were covering your children who are part of this thing. At the time they were supposed to nail this thing from the beginning. You were covering the people. But since he has become a monster, killing whosoever person he met, now you realize that there is a collaboration, right? You see, we can plant all the cameras everywhere, but in the Nigerian system, we are defiling every reasonable attention, reasonable movement. The Nigerian factor is a big problem. That traffic, like you might store a camera there. Somebody who is controlling that message.
We turn off the camera.
There is a camera there, so know your movement. This is how we are sabotaging the system. For us to have a proper security system, every one of us must talk to ourselves that yes, we are tired. Let us stop giving coverage, these heinous and criminal activities around us. And we begin to explain, all the boys who are coming are known. They are from community. The Southeast, they wanted to do same. Where Soludoke was saying they are not from here. They are external people that were coming. So when the thing actually hit Aguata, his own place several times, when he entered the water, he discovered that these are homegrown criminals. Immediately announced it that these are homegrown. You see the security people move into action, and many of them were dealt with. Today you have some level of security in Anambra State, but in the north, people are still collaborating. There is complicity among the people. From the security, there are people who are looking at it as a business, right? Some people within the security architecture are even helping these people to carry guns. I remember some time ago, there was a report, an old man, I think around 60 years, who was helping bandit to take arm from one position to the other place. He was caught in this country. We have elders like that who are actually backing these guys. The issue of Ahoda here. There are people who are complicit among these issues here. So until we begin to call a spade and try to shame people who are perpetrating the crime, those who are sponsoring the crime, those who are sponsoring the crime, then at the end of the day, we have a secure nation and secure community. This is what is lacking.
Well, thank you very much. I think, gentlemen, we've had fun here. We've had the ball here. If you have this panel on our crew every day, we're going to be having parties every day. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. You're very great people, and both guests today are the delight of any anchor, any day, anytime. And I can say that for sure and give you that for free. My name is Bon Woke, and thank all of you for being out there watching. And if you watch, you see our social media platform right there on the screen. And so you key into our programs. And of course, I'm sure you're watching us on your TV screen now via 194 StarTime. My name remains Bon Woke. I'm out of here. I'm sure you're going to enjoy your weekend too. I will do mine too.